From the Horror Vision Press, Shawn C. Baker's Shadowplay Book 1, Kim and Jesse. If our reflections woke up, would they hate us? Would they envy our world? Would they try to take it? Two worlds on a collision course, and 15-year-old Jesse Roberts is caught in the middle. Shadowplay Book 1, Kim and Jesse is available from Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or wherever books are sold. Also available, a collection of desires, 7 tales of modern horror. These 7 tales bring the horror home to our modern world.
Welcome to another episode of A Most Horrible Library. I'm Shawn.
And I'm Chris.
And Chris just saved me a shit ton of money, man. So that's really cool. Thanks. We are talking about the Bernie Wrightson illustrated Mary Wollencroft Shelley's Frankenstein. And for those that don't know, I mean, this is like iconic beyond iconic, right? In the world of both, I guess, literature and comics especially, but, you know, Bernie Wrightson, icon, right? Arguably one of the greatest illustrators for comics, or just in general, in my opinion, ever.
Oh, absolutely.
Which, by the way, in his Frankenstein work really fucking comes out, because there's like a page where it's like the amount of time he spent illustrating grass. It had to be days. It's insane.
Easy.
It's unbelievable. But so in '83, I think it is, he provided 40-something illustrations for this newer edition of Mary Shelley's, you know, classic novel. And then Stephen King did an introduction for it, and because King and him worked on Creepshow and some other stuff. And then later, near the end of his life, as we talked about in the show before, Bernie Wrightson and Steve Niles did Frankenstein Alive Alive, which is a sequel, and Wrightson famously passed away during it and handpicked Kelly Jones to finish it. Chris, you had mentioned this last time, I believe, and it set me on a path looking for it. And so the reason to the listeners why I say Chris just saved me a lot of money, I ordered it for $20 on Amazon, and I received a beautiful hardcover novel with the 40-something illustrations. But I was under the impression that after he had done that, he had actually illustrated the entire novel. And what I thought that were the editions that, if you just look on eBay, they go for between $150 and $300. And Chris just straightened me out because you have several of the editions. So talk about when did you get your first? Or just talk about your relationship with the book, the ones you have, how you got them, blah, blah, blah.
Well, the ones that I have are actually ones that I've gotten recently within the last couple of years. I just had managed to, I lucked out and found this little used bookstore in New York City. And I managed to talk them into selling me a hardcover first edition for about $40, I think.
What year was this?
I mean, this was just, this is 2019, 2020,
okay.
Something like that.
I remember it being fairly recent.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it was always a book that I was, very aware of. I mean, obviously, you do a Google search, you search Bernie Wrightson's Frankenstein, hit, do view images, and you'll recognize a lot of them.
Yeah.
They're that iconic. So I was always aware of it for a long time, but it wasn't until I had just happened to stumble upon this little bookstore and just, jumped on it immediately. And then later on, I was kind of going through trying to collect some of Wrightson's other, his other books that he's done. And I ended up picking up a bundle of a couple things. And in that bundle was a first edition of the soft cover trade for it, which was interesting. So with this book, there were two versions that came out concurrently in '83. One was, I'm trying to see if I can see who the publisher was. I don't see it off the top of my head. So one was done by, the hardcover was done by a publisher. But then the softcover trade was actually put out by Marvel Comics. And since then, it's been subsequently re-released. I think Dark Horse put out a re-release of it in 2008.
I think that's the one I saw at Borders.
And then I know Simon and Schuster, they have a brand new version that has come out as of August 2020. But that's kind of the one like we were discussing prior to this, Shawn, where mutual friend John Bickness, who is in my opinion, he's the Bernie Wrightson aficionado.
Yes, definitely, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
we will definitely get him on here and just do a whole Wrightson deep dive episode, because I'm sure he's got lots of stuff. But so the new Simon and Schuster version that came out recently, he says is one to avoid, and it looks like because it is much, much smaller. It's only a 6x9. So they really, really reduced it. And the thing with Bernie Wrightson is he has such fine line work that he does. This is black and white, that you reduce the size of that and just stuff blends together and you end up kind of getting a bunch of mush, and it really does not do his work justice.
So the ones you have are shaped more like a graphic novel, or like even an oversized graphic novel, like almost like the Black Label stuff, if I'm not mistaken. I feel like they're about that size. They're like magazine almost size.
Yeah, if I had to guess off the top of my head, I would say they're probably 10x7 maybe. So the one I got on Amazon, I really like it. I would prefer the bigger one eventually, but whatever. But this was put out last year in August, and it's by a publisher named Galley 13. And I think it's Gallery 13.
Gallery 13.
I think that's the Simon and Schuster. That's their imprint.
I don't think it's that bad. I mean, it's not what what you have, definitely, but it was definitely enough where I read the novel for the first time since like 4th grade or something. Recently, really enjoyed it. And there's like you're reading it, and there's when you realize you become lucid and I've been staring at this piece of art for probably like 15 minutes and didn't even realize it. So I was still able to kind of get lost in it, but I could definitely see John would just, he would be like, whatever.
Yeah.
Too small. But I actually, I didn't think it was that bad of an edition. So I don't know, it was definitely, I'm a sucker for the tactile presence of a nice hardcover book, as I know you are as well. And I thought that was pretty nice. And I didn't feel like the art got super lost. I mean, there's a lot of nooks and crannies in those illustrations, especially the famous laboratory one.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, the bigger it is, the more you're going to see, the more you can walk into it. But I didn't think it was, like ridiculous. So I would definitely say.
Here we go. I just looked it up. So the original hardcover, the 83, was published by Dodd, Mead and Company.
Okay.
Yeah, so they were the first. I think they were technically, that's like the true first edition.
Yeah.
But for some reason, everywhere you look, you constantly see, it was first published in 83 by Marvel Comics, and it's like, well, yes and no.
Yeah.
It was first concurrently published by, I would say.
That kind of sucks for that. What is it, Dodd Mead? Because I'm sure that would have been a huge thing for them. Although, I mean, obviously his legendary status is built with time. But still, that would have been a big thing for a small company. I mean, I don't know that they were small, but they're obviously probably not as big as Marvel Comics. Although Marvel Comics in 1983 wasn't the powerhouse that it is now. So,
oh yeah, definitely not.
But I'm sure the Marvel comic took sales away from their version, which was my point. So that kind of sucks. But and
the thing that I always like as well too is that has an introduction in there by Stephen King.
Yeah, it's a good introduction too. I enjoyed that quite a bit. And the Gallery 13 has a introduction by Mary Shelley as well, which was from, I forget what edition that was from.
What?
I mean, it's obviously not written.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure she's dead, dude.
But she's been reanimated, my friend.
They reanimated her.
She left instructions. When you're reading Frankenstein, and so the thing a lot of people might not know about Frankenstein, like fictionally, in the literary work, it bears no fucking resemblance at all to the classic Universal Frankenstein. I love the classic Universal Frankenstein, and most derivatives of Frankenstein for a very long time were based on that. That is not
wait. So what you're saying is that at no point does Frankenstein and Frankenstein's creature, at no point do they sing and dance to Putting on the Ritz?
No, they do not.
Oh, I'm just pissed now.
No, it's the electric slide. Now, fuck me for even mentioning that abomination. No, but it's partially epistolary style, and which is letters, which Dracula was like that, and so it starts with a totally different character who has wanted all his life to go and get the crew together and sail into the Arctic. And so he does. And he sees this thing on a sled being pulled by dogs. And then later he finds a man and he brings the man on board and he nurses him back to health. And this is Victor Frankenstein. And he then tells his story. And then you go into his story. Mm-hmm. And so the third party guy is relating, finding him in, the beginning of his adventures going into the frozen wastes and then finding Victor. He's writing letters to his sister back home in England. And then you go into Victor's story and it kind of shifts and becomes like prose, like, first person. He's relating the story to this guy. And when he gets to how he created the Frankenstein monster, he does not he says, I'm not going to tell you. And then later, like, there's even a conversation where he's like, are you mad? You want to know, but I'm not going to tell you because look at what it's done to me. Mm-hmm. Also of note, now that I remembered vaguely from my reading as a kid, but what I didn't remember is that he doesn't make him in a castle with all this fucking lightning and shit, which is great.
Oh, yeah.
Theatrically, yeah. Right? And I love it, but he makes him in an apartment.
Yeah.
While he's away at college. And actually, so two things to shift to the medium of our sister podcast, the Horror Vision, for a second, mm-hmm. to go with the visual medium. It reminded me when I was in high school, and I haven't seen it since opening day at the theater, which is like
Kenneth Branagh.
Kenneth Branagh's Frankenstein, with fucking Robert De Niro as the Frankenstein monster, right? Yeah. And I think
it was great.
I think it's great, and I also think it is an exact what Coppola did for Bram Stoker's Dracula. I think that's what that was an attempt to do, and so I'm pretty sure mm-hmm. it's an exact translation. So I wanted to dig that out. So listeners, if you haven't seen that, it's probably be worth your time. But then the other thing. Well, go ahead.
I was going to say I think Coppola produced that.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, because I know that there was that he did Bram Stoker's Dracula, and then like the year or two later, that was billed as Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
Yeah,
but that one I think Kenneth Branagh, I think he directed that one himself.
He did. Yeah, he did. That was like, I remember I didn't know who Kenneth Branagh was at the time. I think I was still in high school, and
really,
He did that, and he did another movie called Dead Again that I absolutely adored.
Yeah.
And then he fucking disappeared. And I remember being like, where'd that guy go? Like, he did two of my favorite movies in like a year or 2 year span, and then like he just dropped out. I mean, he's since obviously done stuff, but
well, I mean, he shifted over into doing a lot of directing.
Well, no, he directed. I think he directed both of those, but then I don't feel like he directed many movies for. But he did stage. He was, I think a classically trained theatrical. I think that was his lifeblood. So I think he spent a lot of time off from cinema doing stage, and he did eventually come back and do, movies. He's done plenty of movies since then, but it was just like in the wake of those two movies, I think there was a period where
I remember he directed Thor.
Yeah, he directed Thor, and you can tell. I remember being like, I can totally tell this has a Shakespearean quality to it.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Looking at his IMDb, like he's big in the classics. His directorial debut was Henry V.
Yeah, there you go.
Dead Again. But yeah, he's gone on. He's directed Much Ado About Nothing, A Midwinter's Tale, Hamlet, Love's Labor's Lost. So the guy, he loves doing Shakespeare.
Yeah. Which is why he not a lot of like outside of that, which is weird because Dead Again, I would need to see it again, but I really liked it.
Wonderful.
I remember feeling like it was. I've talked before on the Horror Vision about this like subgenre in my head I have no name for that consists of like Jacob's Ladder and Flatliners and a couple other movies, and I remember feeling like this was like, oh my God, this is like right in that wheelhouse. And then
I would call those like supernatural thrillers.
Yeah, but there's other supernatural thrillers that don't have quite the same thing that those movies have. Angel Heart's another one. But so then also I wanted to recommend this to you. I kept meaning to text you during the week because I know you love period pieces and I know you love this kind of gothic literature and stuff. Have you watched Penny Dreadful?
Oh yeah.
I just started it. It's wonderful, and the Frankenstein is so close to Mary Shelley's. I'm only like halfway through the first season, but I'm like, oh my God, this is wow! Like it just dovetailed so beautifully with what I was reading.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm gonna do a little bit of spoilers here for a 7-year-old show.
Oh wait, no,
just you've seen it. You've seen past this. If you're halfway through the first season, you've already seen past it.
Okay.
The introduction to Frankenstein's monster.
Oh, it's fucking amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah. Not the what was the other guy's name?
Mr. Proteus.
Proteus, yeah.
Not him.
Not him. But yeah, I mean, I was watching it. I was like, oh, okay. This is an interesting take on the whole Frankenstein, mythos. And then end of the episode, nope. Okay, that's where they're going with it.
Dude, fucking good.
That actor, oh gosh, I'm blanking on it. Rory.
Yes, Rory Kinnear.
Yeah. He I think his portrayal in that role is one of the best takes on it that I've ever seen.
Yeah, he's I mean, and they got him like working at the behind the scenes in the theater at the fucking Grand Guignol. I'm like, oh my God, how fucking awesome. And to tie this back into comics, we're watching, I'm like, wait a minute. This is like somebody was like, let's do League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. And then Fox or whoever made that abomination of a fucking movie was like, well, we still have the rights to that. And they were like, okay, well, you know what? Okay, fuck you. We'll just make Alan Quarterman Mina's father. And, because I'm like, it's like somebody was just like, let's make a good League of Extraordinary Gentlemen show. And it feels so much like that, but without feeling... It doesn't feel like a ripoff at all. I mean, Alan Moore might say differently. I don't know, but
that's one of my favorite programs. Especially the first 2 seasons. The third season gets to be very divisive.
Okay.
Among people, they did a spin-off program quite recently called City of Angels.
It bombed.
Yeah, it did not get renewed for a second season, and it was really just using the Penny Dreadful name. It had nothing to do with it.
Well, I mean, I haven't seen that yet. A guy I work with, who's a friend of mine, I talk to him about this stuff all the time. I remember when that came out, he was really excited about it. He kind of like watched a couple episodes and he's like, I got to get back to it, but I don't know. But I'm curious because I know that they bring in like Black Dahlia and stuff like that. So if there's some way that it ties in to the original show, which even just made me think even more, it might be like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, because I fell off following that League of Extraordinary Gentlemen
the books.
Like a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
But they're still coming. I mean, there's one on the shelf right now, and Alan Quarterman and Mina, who are the main characters, basically. I mean, he's brought them up into the current. And they might even be in the fucking future by now. I don't know, but they go through the 60s in the Black Dossier, and then I think they're in like the 80s at some point, and I don't know. I don't know why I fell off that. Because those first two trades are among the great pleasures of Alan Moore. I mean, and of which there are so fucking many.
Yeah.
But I love those first two. And in fact, it made me realize I have the first one in trade. I bought the second one as it came out monthly, whenever that was. And I don't know where those issues are. So I lent them to somebody long ago and they're gone. So I gotta pony up and get the trade.
Yeah.
Oh, League.
Well, so what else have you been reading? What's been going on out with you?
That the Frankenstein was really cool. I didn't expect to read it, and it was just the right fucking time and place. After that, immediately I started, because we finished the second season of his Dark Materials, and I just started the fucking books again. I've been putting it off, but you gave me that beautiful hardcover book of Dust. You gave me a bunch of stuff I want to get to. Fucking Robo Apocalypse has been sitting on my fucking nightside table for I don't know how long, but it keeps getting bumped because of like where my reading takes me. And now I started, I mean, his Dark Materials is going to take me a while. And I mean, it's been nearly 20 years since I read him originally, but the show just really whet my appetite again. And I really want to read the Book of Dust. So I was just like, fuck it, I'm jumping in. And so I did pick up the Dollhouse Family. I haven't had a chance to read it yet. Looking forward to that. And then I restarted I think you probably like this too, the old Vertigo stuff. Mm-hmm. It's so evocative of a time and a place in my life that I'll like hear some music or see something that's like been influenced by it and that tone, and it'll make me want to pull something out. And so just completely, at random, I started rereading the original Sins, the first Hellraiser trade, the Jamie Delano, John Ridgway. Mm-hmm. And I'm about halfway through it, and it's just,
oh, nice.
Oh, I just love it so much. And I know, I've recommended it to people, younger people or people that didn't read it at the time, and they've come back and been like, I don't know, the art's a little rough or whatever, but I love the art. Like, I fucking love it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the, that's the art of that time.
Yeah.
It's like, pick up the first couple issues or trade of Sandman.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Same color scheme. Yeah.
Even like, do you, I don't remember with Sandman. So a good friend of mine in Chicago, Mike Shinabarger, he went and traded up for all the those, like, what are they, the Ultimate Editions or whatever, the Sandmans? I think that's what they call them. The really nice hardcover where they've remastered it and everything. Yeah, yeah. I don't like them as much. I saw his versions. I'm like, yeah, I like mine to look like they looked when I read them.
Yeah, I think ultimately, I mean, I'm just speculating here, but I think the main reason why they did that was for the just the transfer to digital.
Yeah.
Because I know you can look it up, the original Sandman versus, what's out now. And just, a lot of times just the color is just completely different.
Yeah.
Completely different coloring. going through. Ultimately, I would have to probably defer to Neil Gaiman and see what his review is on it. But I mean, I could go either way, really. I didn't read them when they first came out. I did read them, in trades, and I have since kind of upgraded to. I have the big giant 3-volume collection of each one, where like literally each book is about 1,000 pages.
That's like the Lucifers that you got that we were talking about on the last episode.
Yeah, they're all about the same size. The 2 Lucifers and the
omnibuses or omnibuy. I don't know what the plural of omnibus is. Omnibuy. I mean, either way, it's still the same material, but I do have a soft spot for that. Yeah, I mean, I kind of look at it as like, if you took the Misfits Walk Among Us and like cleaned it up so that it sounded like Michael Graves era Misfits, which I also like. It's like, no, Walk Among Us has to sound like it sounds. It has to. If you remaster it too much,
shit. Speaking of that, I should send over to you. I have a copy of the original rough recordings of Walk Among Us, and they're really rough and really different in a lot of ways. Before I think they ended up ultimately going and re-recording the entire album, and then that's the album that.
Interesting.
Put out now, yeah.
Is it like Glenn Danzig on acoustic guitar and like somebody on bongos?
It's just maracas.
Oh shit! What about you, man? What have you been reading?
Well, let's see. So I had been starting a reread of the Archie Horror imprint.
I know you said you wanted to do a deep dive, so I prepped a little bit, but not as much as I would like. But I want take us through it, man.
Okay, so with this, I want to say that the whole idea and premise behind it came from a variant issue. There was a variant issue that they just titled Afterlife with Archie, because that, for however many years that Archie's been around, there's always been that book Life with Archie. Oh. So there was an imprint that or not an imprint, a variant cover that one time they did like a Afterlife with Archie, and they put Archie and the gang and a bunch of zombies on it, and it sold pretty well. And it was at that time that Roberto Aguirre Sacasa, I think he's like the Archie Comics. Yeah, he's the CCO of Archie Comics. That he started writing a limited series, or sorry, an ongoing series that was just straight up Afterlife with Archie. And that was probably one of my favorite books from the series. I think there's about 7 or 8 titles that the imprint has put out. So basic premise with this is Jughead, his dog, Hot Dog, gets killed, and he is grief-stricken, and he goes to go see Sabrina, the teenage witch, to see what she can do to, try to bring him back to life. And so Sabrina does some necromancy, brings back Hot Dog. He kind of comes back like Little Pet Cemetery. He's a little weird, little off. Ultimately, Hot Dog bites Jughead, and Jughead turns into a zombie. And from there, Riverdale becomes ground zero of a zombie apocalypse.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
And it's all about, Archie and Betty, Veronica, and the rest of the gang trying to survive and basically escape Riverdale. And it's beautifully drawn. It is really well written, despite, it's a lot more sophisticated than you would think with an Archie comic.
Right.
But the biggest issue and this is why it's really a love-hate relationship for me, is that, so this was all, written by Roberto Aguirre Sacasa. 10 issues he wrote, and he put the book on hiatus in the middle of an arc and has not returned to it, and it's been about 8 years now.
Oh, what?
Mm-hmm. So much to the point where you can go online, you can see the covers for issues 11 and 12, which would have wrapped up this story arc. But right now it's a big question mark. Who knows when it'll come out, if ever. Now, one of the biggest issues is that I know that he has essentially gone over and switched over to television, and now he is he's the showrunner for the CW show Riverdale.
Mm-hmm.
He was the series developer for the Sabrina Netflix show, and now there's a third show that's going to be coming out based off of that. So it really looks like he's just kind of put everything to the side, because comics doesn't pay as much as TV does. Meanwhile, there's been fans who've been clamoring for this, and it's like, dude, just 2 more issues, man. Just bang them out. We know that you have the ideas or something, or even just delegate it to somebody else.
Well, yeah, that seems like the obvious. Man, that sucks, dude. What?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And if you want to hear something even shittier than that, is that he did the exact same thing with the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina comic book.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he wrote. He wrote, and they put out I think 8 issues, and just kind of, there's still 2 to 4 more issues that would wrap up a story arc, and he's just dropped the ball on it and decided, oh nope, TV's where the money's at for me. So exact same thing. 2015 I think was when the last issue of that came out.
Man, like, wow. So it reminds me, but there's a difference, and I'll definitely say, like, so David Lapham's Stray Bullets, totally independent comic book, started in the fucking earlier mid 90s, 95, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And, he I guess he cut his teeth at Valiant. I was never a Valiant guy, so I missed that. But he did this, and it was, El Capitan is his company. His wife is the publisher, and I think his editor, Maria Lapham. They're like, that's it. There's nothing else. They've got no other backing for years and years and years. And so he puts this book out when he can. So at first, it was more issues, and then it became scarcer and maybe a couple a year or whatever. And then famously, he put out an issue, huge cliffhanger, and there was 1 issue left. I think it was 41 came out. 42 took 9 years to come out.
Oh, wow.
And the thing was, he would address it. Like, people would ask him on social media interviews. He's like, look, man, I have kids now. And he started getting Marvel stuff, or bigger, DC maybe too. And he's like, it feeds my kids, and Stray Bullets does not. Yeah. So, I'll get back to it when I can get back to it. It's just bear with me, please. I appreciate, the understanding. So I was always like, well, dude, he's doing it super independent. I get that 100%. Right. Mm-hmm. And then eventually when it came back in, I don't know, 2014 or whatever, we covered it. It was a big thing on Drinking with Comics, and Image picked up Stray Bullets. So it came back to that last issue, and then immediately, continued on, and, and it's been great. But the thing is, I understand why he does it. This guy, Roberto Aguirre Sacasa, like, I kind of feel like, dude, like you said, delegated, because like this guy is working for Netflix. he's got the money, so it's not like
it's no longer important to him, and it's like, well, this is kind of like what made you a bit, dude.
Yeah, I mean, and especially when it's like, I could see if you're like, oh, I've got like 5 arcs left, I just don't know that I can do it. But like when you've got like 2 issues, it's like, dude, like you said, bang that shit out, come on.
Yeah, or delegate. They've had other great writers who have worked. Cullen Bunn. He just recently in 2019 did a little 5-issue miniseries called Blossom 666, and it was the premise of what if Cheryl and Jason Blossom, what if one of them was destined to be the Antichrist, and now they have to vie and just compete for the title.
So that's the one I read, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. Although when it ended, I was like, I guess. So is that, this is like totally one-off, right? So it's like there's nothing about those characters in any other continuity that suggests that that's the thing.
That's correct. Okay. With these, they, for the most part, they exist in different continuities.
Yeah,
they are their own little pocket universes.
Yeah, it's all like Elseworlds. Nothing's connected.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yes and no. They kind of address the idea of these kind of multiverses in Chilling Adventures of Sabrina at one point. They do make reference to, another universe with zombies running around. A couple of years ago, they put out one called Jughead the Hunger, and that posed the whole premise of, what if Jughead Jones and the Jones lineage, what if they were werewolves?
So this is the next one I'm going to read. My friend Missy loves this book. We were just talking about this the other day because I told her that you were prepping to do a deep dive, and she's like, "Oh my God, you have to read the Jughead the Hunger." So that'll be the next one I read. It sounded cool.
Yeah, that book is a lot of fun, especially because I think it's revealed within the first issue, but that Betty's family, she comes from a long line of werewolf hunters. So it really kind of flips things around in that sense.
So let me ask you this then. I get the impression, because in Blossom 666, it's revealed, but they don't, well, I should say, Betty discovers that her family is also a part of this, oh God, what is it called? The Abaddon Society, which is this lineage of these satanic, it's basically the satanic cult in the background of Riverdale.
Yeah.
And so it's suggested, because the way it's revealed to her, it might be a trick done by the Blossoms. But so is this a thing that they do in all the series where Betty finds out her parents are somehow something related to what's going, oh, they were zombie hunters, or oh, they were this, or is it just these two?
No. Sometimes it's Veronica that finds out.
Okay.
Yeah, because kind of following up on the coattails of Jughead the Hunger, they put out Vamperonica, which posed, okay, well, if Jughead can be a werewolf, what if Veronica gets bitten and becomes a vampire? Now that one has actually had the most action going on with it in terms of actually getting published, getting issues out,
consecutive issues, finished storylines.
Yeah, exactly. So that one, it actually has two miniseries so far. They did a one that was just straight called Vamperonica, and then there was a Vamperonica New Blood. That kind of was like a little follow-up series. And then just last year in 2019, they finally said, all right, this is going to be fun. Now they kind of have more ammunition in their belts. So they actually did a crossover, which was Jughead the Hunger versus Vamperonica.
So is that a one shot?
No, it's not. It is it's an ongoing, it's a limited series. I think it's 5 issues. It's a 5-issue miniseries.
I read Blossom 666 on, I signed up for Comixology Unlimited.
Yeah.
And
which is extremely limited, I might add. I think you get it actually through Amazon Prime.
You do, and I think they purposely maybe limit it because, like, when I signed up for when I read Lock and Key, I had some of them, but then and you lent me the last one, but I signed up for Kindle Unlimited, and I think they had all of them except maybe the last one or so, I forget. But with this, it was like they had the Blossom 666, and I finished that last night. And in the back, there's the first issue of Vamperonica versus Jughead the Hunger or whatever. And I didn't read it. I thought it was a one shot, but I went looking for the other because I was looking for Jughead the Hunger, and it wasn't included. And then I was just looking at trying to figure out what was included, and it was like not a lot. I didn't see a lot with the banner like included with your Comixology. So I'll probably actually not go past the free trial. Because that was, I mean, I would imagine if you went maybe through Comixology, maybe they might have something. I'm sure they probably have something like that, like some kind of subscription. Because I was thinking, I could read Jeremy Hahn's 40 Seconds. Like this would be great. But then I'm like, there's like nothing included with it.
Yeah, everything it's very a la carte. So
yeah,
despite that whole unlimited name, it's limited. I don't really know. I just call this shit Comixology.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, unless they just try to say that you have unlimited access to everything else for a fee.
Yeah, basically. So are there other titles that are in that line, or is that the basic gist of what they have?
So that's all that's come out thus far. They did this past October. They put out a one shot that was the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina Presents, and it was all about Madam Satan, who I guess. If you watch the Netflix show, her kind of TV show contemporary for that character would have been, I'm blanking on the teacher's name, but her teacher,
Miss Wardwell, who's also Lilith, right? Yeah,
yeah, exactly. Granted, man, then don't get me started about the Netflix show.
I love it. I mean, I'm sure I know it's different, but I do really like it. I think they were smart to end it after 4.
I mean, it's like if you read the the 8 issues that you can read of Sabrina, if you read them, you kind of go like, oh fuck, like you see like what the show could have been. So that's kind of what I liked the Netflix show, but I didn't.
Right.
I think for me, like I liked a lot of aspects of it, but I didn't like all the wasted potential that premise had.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I know. I just know if it was me, I would have done a lot of things differently. It seemed.
I mean, that's always the case too, right? When you read something and you're close to it, you like it. Translation can be a bitch, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I know they also did, and I'm assuming this would also be like apart from it, but I know they did like an Archie versus Predator, which still to me sounds like I don't know if I want to read it or not, but it sounds insane. Like just
I forgot. Yeah, I forgot about that one.
So I don't know if there's other things like that, like out there where they cross over with. I mean, Archie, the company's really been impressive the way they've kept themselves relevant.
Yeah, So I know that they've done 2 runs of there's Archie versus Predator and Archie versus Predator 2. And then they also did let's see, when did they do this? Oh, I mean, this was older. This was way back in 1994, but they did Archie Meets the Punisher.
I feel like I vaguely remember. Oh man, if anything, that's not so much a credit to Archie being forward thinking at the moment, but Marvel just looking to strip mine the Punisher in the height of his popularity.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, he's already got like 3-4 books. Like, what else can we do? Put him in Riverdale. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, basically, in that Frank Castle, he mistakes Archie to be this known drug smuggler,
good God,
known as Red, who became a fugitive after turning state's evidence. So he, basically goes trying to hunt down Archie. but the Archie versus Predator, that was much more recent. That was, I think 2015.
Yeah, I remember Mike Wellman on Drinking with Comics talked about that, and that was he had already talked about Afterlife with Archie, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cute. But then, not knowing that it was like actually like well written or whatever. But when he brought that up, I'm like, dude, I don't know about that. Like, it seems like a stretch. I'm just trying to picture how anybody in Riverdale would survive an encounter. And it makes me, again, both want to read it and not want to read it. Like, I don't know. But kudos to them for just really, how many companies that have that kind of, like Archie has always been more of a wholesome thing. So the fact that they've constantly found ways to reinvent them. Even Riverdale, I don't like the show. I try to watch like an episode. I'm like, it's not for me. But I really give them props for like they made them real people. They have sex. They they do drugs or whatever whatever they fucking do on the show. I mean, I feel like I couldn't go 5 minutes in that first episode without seeing Archie rip his shirt off to show his abs right before he bangs some teacher. So that's really the only vice that I saw. But I mean, I was like, wow, fucking kudos. Like, and then Sabrina, I mean, that was like, I'm a big fan of Blasphemy. So I was like,
yeah.
I can't fucking believe this. Wow. Hats off.
And I just found one more. This is one more that I did not know about. Was Archie versus Sharknado.
That's going to be a no-go for me for sure.
Yeah.
I'm not a Sharknado person at all.
Let's see what else is there. There's an Archie meets Kiss, which that's a big pass for me because I cannot stand Kiss. I can't stand Kiss. Can't stand Gene Simmons.
Same here. And I know we have friends that will just hate that we say that. I mean, I fucking hate them. I hate them so much.
Oh yeah,
so much.
Yeah, they're the McDonald's of rock and roll.
Oh god, dude, seriously. I feel like Ronald McDonald has more credibility and integrity than Gene Simmons. I mean, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
God. And I don't like their music, so there's like just nothing for me to latch onto. Yeah. However, they're David Lucarelli, Gerald Carlson. Like, I don't want to piss you guys off. I love you guys. Like, yeah, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying that we're right. But for me, I just can't do it. When they put that Rock and Brews in LAX. I mean, not that anybody can fly anymore anyway. But I was like, oh fuck, man, no, not a chance. Like, it's just whatever they overcharge for a beer at a Rock and Brews that's not in LAX. Now they probably just tripled it. That'll be $37.50 for your 12-ounce Miller Lite.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much all the Archie deep diving that I've had time to do the last couple weeks here.
That's cool. Anything else you're reading?
No, nothing that really fits into the wheelhouse of the program. I'd recently started doing a reread of Scott O'Malley's Scott Pilgrim.
Oh, that's cool.
Series. Hadn't read that for a while, and evidently there's a colorized version out now.
Oh, really? Now, would you be for or against that?
I don't know. I'm still kind of in the middle of it. So far the colorized version is nice. Primarily I'm a big fan of the film, of Edgar Wright's take on it, and adding the color in there really does kind of make it feel a bit more tied in to the film.
Oh, okay, I could see that. Yeah, I could totally see that. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, but I mean, there has been this trend, lately of going back and re-releasing kind of deluxe editions of, I know that there is the Walking Dead Deluxe that's out right now, which they're basically just redoing the entirety of The Walking Dead, but this time in color.
Which seems utterly pointless to me, 100% with The Walking Dead, but... I
mean, it is well done. Especially,
I'm sure.
I mean, it is nice for a lot of people because I think it Walking Dead ended at issue, what, 193, I think?
Yeah, that
Something
sounds
like
right.
You know, so that's, you know, a good 15-year run. So there are a lot of people who do want to read The Walking Dead, but not necessarily want to commit to buying these big giant trades and compendiums and this and that.
Yeah.
You know, so it is nice that they are putting out the single issues again. And, you know, by them at least going through and colorizing them, which in some cases I think does add to it a bit. You know, the colorization of Tony Moore's first couple of issues, you know, looks great. It looks great with his style. I'm not sure if they've gotten out any issues yet to when Charlie Adlard took over, because I don't
think they have.
Because I don't know how his art style will translate over to with the color. But yeah, I mean, it's fun so far, and you know, it's not such a blatant you know, popularizing the Walking Dead cash grab,
right?
You know, that it would seem, you know, and it's a bi-weekly thing too. So I think
okay.
Yeah, so there's 2 issues that come out a month, so it's not like you have to invest again for another 15 years.
Right.
You know, and then I recently saw that there is a colorized version of Alan Moore's From Hell now.
Yeah, that I haven't actually looked at it. That seems really, I don't know. I really like Eddie Campbell's art, and I don't know. I don't know. How I feel. I don't know how I feel about that. That's weird. I mean, but you know what? Some people are gonna like it, and that's good. I mean, again, like I'm not one that thinks that I'm right. It's just for me. I feel like, man, Eddie Campbell's stuff is like so glorious in black and white, and it just seems so weird to colorize it.
Well, I mean, if there is one saving grace, it's that Eddie Campbell is the one who is colorizing it himself.
Oh, okay. Now that's interesting. Okay. Well, that's cool. I was just going to say, like, I'd like to hear what he has to say about it, but I mean, obviously he would have probably had to sign off on it anyway, but, well, if he's colorizing it, okay, cool.
Yeah. So
I'm still going to stick with my black and white copy, but nonetheless.
Yeah, I have a black and white copy, but at the same time, it looks like it's only about $35 on Amazon right now for the color hardcover.
Oh.
So maybe I'll have to pick that up too, because it doesn't look that bad. You know, again, like this with that color style, you know, it looks like those old Sandmans. It looks like those old Hellblazers.
Right. Okay. Man, that $35 is not bad. That is a fucking thick book.
Yeah, it's about 550.
Yeah, From Hell is it's like one of those things I've thought about reread. Oh, nice. I've thought about rereading it. Oh, that does look good. Chris is sharing the screen with me right now. So listeners, if you just Google, or actually, are you actually just looking at? I'm
on Amazon.
Yeah, the look inside. Okay. It's funny how that cover, the first thing I thought when I saw the cover of this new Master Edition, the color, it looks like, oh God, I just had his goddamn name in my head. Edward Gorey. I never noticed the Edward Gorey influence. Well, I probably did notice it before previously. I mean, I read From Hell so fucking long ago.
Oh, I'd like that. Looking in at this From Hell Master Edition with pictorial revisions for color, clarity, and continuity by Eddie Campbell.
Nice.
Yeah.
So it looks good, actually. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
It looks much better than you would imagine it to.
Fuck, you might have just sold me. God damn it, Chris.
Yeah, and one thing that is nice is that since it is, you know, all of the images in here, they're nice and they're crisp.
Yeah, they are. It really does look good.
Crisp line work. Where I know on a lot of like the trades that are out there, the black and white trades, you know, it's not necessarily the best reproduction. You know,
right.
They can be a bit fuzzy. They can have a bit of like a line bleed to them. You know, that can definitely make things a bit hard to see what's what here and there.
Oh man.
God damn, I think I might have just sold myself on this too.
Yeah, damn, dude, it does look good. I'm eating my words, man, because it looks good. I'm gonna go pick up my black and white edition and look at it and see how I feel about it now. Oh wow, the blood. Wow.
Hey, you know what you can do? Just grab yourself some colored pencils and just make your own.
No.
Make your own master edition.
No. Yeah, that would be the not master edition. So, yeah, but all right. Well, so for another episode of A Most Horrible Library, I'm Shawn.
And I'm Chris.
And keep reading, and we'll be back to tell you about stuff that'll scare the hell out of you next time.